We're live, baby.
Welcome to Subjectively Correct, episode 33. Don't look at
Woo!
last week's thumbnail; it had the wrong number on it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It's not that big a deal.
Doesn't matter from the title too.
The title's fixed. Title was always right. I just didn't change the number.
No, I mean I'm saying the title. I'm saying the title's the right number.
Oh yeah. But well, it's also all now on Spotify because apparently 2 weeks ago when I uploaded one of them to Spotify, it decided to save as a draft instead of just publishing like I told it. And then other than that, just screw me, I guess. Yeah, before we're gonna be a little quicker this week because Jake is I about called you Jace. Jake is busy and I had an annoying day, and then I also had to watch Daredevil last night, so it's pretty much just been nonstop dog shit
Sure.
for
Pretty much, yeah.
8 hours. So or not holy math. Over like 15 hours, well over 15 hours. So yeah. But before that, Jay, how's your week, I guess, been? I know me and you just saw each other, but you know, that's outside the internet lore. So
It's been pretty good. We had a little meetup that was fun.
yep.
I have
Jake-
Lord of the
Jake made
Rings
Harry
extended
Fosco lose.
trilogy box set on the way, so that's fun. I then realized I don't have a Blu-ray player.
You have
so-
an Xbox. You have a PS5. It's a Blu-ray player.
Well, yeah, but I have the digital.
Oh, you didn't get
so
the
I was
disc
like-
edition, did you?
No, no. As soon as I ordered it, I was like,
You can
honestly,
buy-
I know I can get the extension thing for like 70 something bucks, but
Don't you have an Xbox
I
One?
kinda
You still
just-
have an Xbox One?
Mm-mm.
You could there's probably attachments for
No.
your Mac. I don't know. You just probably something.
No, yeah, I could definitely get something for pretty cheap, but it was less about watching it and more about having it just because I wanted to have it.
Well,
But
I mean, yeah, but then you can't
I'm
watch
gonna
all
get
the you can't watch all of
No,
the
I'm gonna go to what's the store we went to with Corbin where you got yours?
The
I'll probably just go to
Exchange.
one of those and get like the
Actually, I don't
exchange.
know
I'll
that I
probably
should've
just go to
said
one of
that, but-
those or something. I don't know if it's regional or not. I don't really care. But I'll probably just go to somewhere like that or a thrift or whatever and get a Blu-ray player. So
Yeah. So
yeah, that was a little blunder, but
so what about what do you think of this?
dude, don't even get me started. We don't
Now
have time
I know
to talk. It's unfortunate.
it's gonna be quick, but I know everyone's like, why'd you just show a random picture of guy? That's Aragorn, of course, obviously.
Yes, it's the King of Gondor.
Last I checked,
That's
it was Vigo who was
Strider.
who was Aragorn, King of Gondor, not what's this guy's name? I don't even remember his name.
I don't even know. I mean,
Jamie something.
does he look all right? Sure.
Jamie Dorn. Jamie, pull up you being Aragorn.
The thing is, nobody's ever going to be Vigo.
Here's the thing, even if he was good, it doesn't matter. The movie's gonna suck.
Exactly. He's going to be in a bad movie that shouldn't be made. And he's playing a character he couldn't possibly live up to.
Is Saruman gonna be in this?
I don't think so, no.
He's also in 50 Shades of Grey.
I would say no because Saruman and Gandalf hadn't seen each other for a decent amount
This
of time.
takes
and
place
Gandalf will
in
be
between the time Gandalf leaves Frodo and goes back to Saruman, right?
I think, yeah.
That's when it's like a chapter and a half in the book.
Yeah. It's like find Gollum and then Gollum gets away.
And they're like, ah.
And they're like, oh man, let's go start the book. Let's go start the movies now.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been 20 years.
I'm gonna go look for some hobbits.
Is Tom Bombadil in this one, or is that in the Stephen Colbert one?
That'll be the Stephen Colbert one. Where I guess to enjoy watching it, you'll just have to like switch between that and the original trilogy and
That's for
like,
all
Lord
of
the
these. There's
Rings
gonna be like
audiobook.
there's gotta be timestamps.
I don't know. Yeah, or they're just gonna like literally like carve out pieces of the original and just plop it into the movie. I don't know.
Nothing I've watched would take something that's really good and take clips from that and then put it into their own thing and then try to
Pretty topical because
try
a
to
week ago
recreate
I
that
probably
style.
would have A week ago, I probably would have told you the same thing, but after yesterday, I know that they are willing to do exactly that.
I don't think anyone would do that. Yeah, look, we'll get in the episode in a second. Honestly,
No, they would
like
never.
there's a couple other things I actually want to talk about of it, and so much of the episode is useless. And we'll get into that all
Yes,
in one go. There was one other thing. Oh yeah, hold on, let me look it up. But
like
I
like
think it
the
was
opening.
I think it was bold that their main criticism, so I or not bold because obviously they already made the show. I think it was is an interesting decision. Again, they already made the show. I guess ironic meta decision that the main criticism of the show from people who even like it are like, it's all right, but it's pretty boring. And then the next episode says no fights, no action scene, and no Daredevil.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's
yeah.
it's both the best episode so far and the most infuriating episode so far because it was like, oh look, we kind of think we might know how to make a good
There's
episode, but
almost
we still
elements of a good show.
aren't. There's yeah, it's like they have the scaffolding for like a really good episode there with like the format and some of what they actually did, but all of the execution is just bad. I mean, I
Okay.
it's just
Sorry. This I
bad.
was trying to because I didn't know the full context other than when I was scrolling. A lot of people got fired at Disney. Marvel seemed to be a large chunk of it. So it's their visual
Yeah.
development team. So this is not their visual effects team, to my understanding. Um, as Disney prepares, so I'll just real quick run through this article. As Disney prepares to would movie theater owners and press at its CinemaCon panel this Thursday. Josh tomorrow sent an email to employees announcing a sweeping wave of layoffs across all Disney divisions. As the dust still begins to settle, it seems that one has been hard as Marvel Studios. Deadline reports Disney's layoffs anticipated have cut around 1,000 jobs across the company, have led to roughly 8% reduction in staff at Marvel. While these layoffs are broadly impacting each area of Marvel at both its offices in New York and Burbank, running the gamut of cuts to its comics publisher to Marvel Studios, to legal and financial departments, more, blah, 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 blah. Most layoffs is one area reportedly hit significantly by the layoffs is one of Marvel Studios' most enduring teams. It's the visual development team. And now I know you're thinking, what's a visual development team? I guess they don't even really know. But members of the team began confirming the lost jobs on social media. It's believed that almost the entirety of the team has been laid off, leaving a skeleton crew that will now oversee the hiring of outside contractors on a per project basis. So I think this is more about the visual team here, headed by creative director Ryan Minderding. The concept artist whose work has helped shape the Marvel Cinematic Universe vision since the first Iron Man movie. The visual development team has been responsible for decades of concept art and design work across Marvel Studios cinematic history. That's what they do. They're it's concept art, it's planning, it's probably some set stuff, art books as well, and it's a lot of the first looks of characters too. Um, there's not
Mhm.
much to read into here. It's just kind of interesting. They're switching to subcontracting out work, which is pretty common across a lot of major industries. Like Microsoft does it a lot with like stuff in Xbox, or like Call of Duty's stuff is
Yeah.
all switched to basically entirely contract work. It's easier because you don't need to pay them when they're in the off season, basically. It's kind of scummy,
Yeah, if
but
you aren't actively working on a movie, then you don't have to pay for people's salaries, basically.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting that that was all happening, and I know I kind of just blew through it, but I don't know. I don't know if they might have missed the blue because I think that probably would have saved their job.
Yeah, I think that might have been entirely in post thing, I guess, because if they were at all involved in the blue, I think they certainly would have stayed. Blue. They did the
Mm.
blue for Bullseye. He's blue. So I don't really know what they're thinking. Getting rid of
I wonder. So
blue.
this decision was probably made before episode 5, where they had that awesome scene with the blue and red mix.
Oh, that's true. Because I guess they might not have seen it early. They might have been watching on release with the rest of us, and they didn't see blue.
Yeah. Now we don't even have a cold open of Born Again, which they did once last season as well. You're not very good at writing. for your show. It's a consistent thing. Every episode
Mhm.
has a cold open, except for the ones that they randomly choose not to. We open with Fisk
Yeah.
in the hospital with Vanessa. I know what you're thinking. Oh, did you guys accidentally turn on Daredevil season 1? The good episode because Vanessa ends up in the hospital? Nope, unfortunately, this is still the bad one. Um, Fisk
Well,
is
you did forget, they open with them walking on the beach, and we see Vincent D'Onofrio's feet.
Oh, yes, this is
That's our
important because
technical
Matt
open, and
Murdock is a big
and
fan of toes, as we learn later,
yes,
so
as we learn in this
this is
episode,
they're
super
on a
important
parallel
stuff,
journey, so
yeah, they both like
so
feet,
so
I
now
guess,
they both
is
like so we get a
the
scene
arc.
for Fisk about feet, and we're gonna get a scene with Daredevil about feet later. Um,
They've been planning this since season 1 of the original show.
they've been planning a lot of things since season 1. There's one guy who's been there since before the season even kicked off. Um,
Hello, dear friend who's been here the whole time.
anyway, Fisk is in the hospital with Vanessa, and he's panicking, and, like, man, I really don't know how much it's Vincent D'Onofrio and how much is directing, because I think we'll see later it's still in there with Vincent D'Onofrio. Uh, this
Yeah, he
dude,
still has it in
his
him.
Fisk sucks. Like his Fisk in these 2 seasons have sucked, and I feel like initially I kind of was like maybe Vincent D'Onofrio's just kind of lost it a bit. But then there's a couple we get to some of the scenes later. Where I'm just like, oh no, this looks more like Fisk because he's pretending he's more like Fisk in this one. Um, he's
Mhm.
so weird in this episode. So to me, it's got to be a directing thing and mixed with a writing thing. Just watch like this
That's how it
scene.
feels with a lot of the actors
It's the
from the
same
original. Vanessa
opening.
feels weird as well.
It's the same opening. I can't remember which episode it is in Daredevil season 1, but it is the similar thing. The opening scene is them rushing into the hospital with Vanessa.
Mhm.
Um, I think it might be season 1, episode 9, but I could be wrong. I
Yeah,
could be wrong.
in that in the original, it's like Fisk wants to be with Vanessa while the doctors and nurses are, like, taking care of her, but they're like, "We have to, like, save her life." So he acquiesces, and in this, it's almost like it feels like he's trying to stop them from saving Vanessa's life by just like, "I'm here, Vanessa."
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's very weird. Let me look. It's either Speak of the Devil or it's Nelson B. Murdoch, and I don't remember. But either way, it opens the same way. Just interesting to see what the
Mhm.
writing difference was, kind of Vincent D'Onofrio's acting. There's a couple moments in this episode that are they're kind of rough. Um, anyway, Powell comes in and he sees like this. So this whole episode is, I mean, it's similar to a lot of them, but this one is basically cut for cut parallels of original Netflix episodes. A couple of them mixed actually, which we'll get to. Um, except
Yeah.
it's sucky and garbage when compared to them.
Mhm.
So Powell,
Yeah.
who is remarkably alive, despite the fact that every task force scene features the murder of every task force agent, somehow he is still alive. Um,
He's only there for the boring raids and the
yes, and
ones where they, like, beat up old ladies, I
Fisk is
guess.
like, "Hey man, you gotta get Bullseye and Daredevil, and you gotta get him alive." And then Powell's like, "Yeah, Mr. Fisk, I'll do that." And Fisk goes, "No,
"You got him,
alive."
you got him,
Yeah.
Mr. Fisk."
And that's
He
that
goes,
scene.
"Yeah."
So after that, the task
I don't
force
think he knows that Bullseye has killed, like, a million people at this point.
Fisk or Powell.
Powell, because he's just not at all scared. It's like he's almost annoyed that this is something he has to do.
Well, he is a main character, so he knows he's good.
Yeah, he is super tough and cool and badass.
In fairness to
Yeah,
Powell, he
Mr.
did
Fisk.
just watch. He's somehow the only guy to have walked out of Fogwell's gym alive, and he did just watch Vanessa shoot
Mhm.
him. So, you know.
Fair.
Anyway, the task force,
Vanessa is the first person to defeat Bullseye
their hunt. Well, Daredevil was, but
in this show. In this show. In this
yeah,
show.
and Born Again, sure.
In this season.
Well, again,
My bad.
Daredevil, yeah. um. Anyway, they're running through the streets. The task force, they're getting everybody, and Bullseye and Matt, they run into some kitchen, I think, and what's he asking for? He's
Like
asking for some
bandages basically. And the he asked for bandages. And then
fresh
the
towels.
like restaurant worker is just like, "Whatever you need, man, we're with you for
Well, he yells at him first because remember
whatever
Daredevil
reason."
yells.
Yeah, because Daredevil yells. And then Bullseye just, like, really, really wants to die,
Mhm. Well
like, a lot,
well, that's because balance,
which
remember,
he's never
scale no, well, the scale's balancing.
balanced the scales.
Um,
And then he's
so
smiling. He's smiling and he wants to die because he's crazy. He's crazy.
yeah,
That's
so
all they I guess.
yeah, it's yeah. "Where are you, man? We're with you." And then, yeah, so he gets some towels, Bullseye tells him, "You don't have to do this," and he starts yapping about some balance, and then they go to a boiler room,
Mhm.
and Bullseye's like, "Leave
Which
me
is
here, cause
also like a tunnel somewhere.
yeah, I don't know, dude. It's
And then
freaking
they fast
strange.
travel.
Yeah, and hold on, my
Uh,
freaking episode is gone.
then we get back to Daniel Blake. Um, he's on the phone in the hospital and he's just telling people they don't have a statement ready. They ask him if Vanessa is dead. He's like, "What kind of sick question is that?" And then hangs up on him.
Because remember, he's communications.
Pretty much just yeah, because he's taking care of communications, and then he gets a text from BB to meet him down past scene, and basically just asks what kind of condition Vanessa is in.
Well, he asked BB, "How'd you
Um,
find me here?" And it's like, probably
well, you're in
the
the
large
you
presence of task
go to
force
the
members.
closest hospital to
Yeah.
Fogwell's gym that has a bunch of the Hitler
Yeah,
officers.
and then he's like, "Hey," and then she's like, "Hey, what's going on with Vanessa?" And he's like, "Listen, BB, I can't tell you anything, and no one else knows anything, so I definitely can't tell you." And then she's like, "But hey, man, here's a hug." And
And they're lucky to have you, Daniel,
yeah, and he's
and
like,
then starts to
"Okay,
walk
anyway, so
away.
here's the information I literally just said I couldn't tell you. Now remember, BB, now that I told you this information, literally no one else has this."
So you shouldn't leak it, because then I would know you leaked it, BB.
Yeah. So then Fisk he's got a doctor here. Remember Netflix when he had a custom doctor flown out to New York? You remember that when
Now he
Vanessa
just
was in the
has
hospital?
one on hand.
No, now this one is
I
just a
do
guy who
remember.
works at the hospital.
Yeah, it's just like the guy who worked at the closest hospital to Fogwell's gym is the best doctor in his field, which makes sense, I guess. I don't know.
He refers to Vanessa as his beloved wife, which is kind of funny. I'm here to do whatever I can for your
Yeah,
beloved wife. I just and remind that
just
line
in
just
case
reminds
you
me of
forgot
like in
who Vanessa was.
well, it just reminds me of that line in the Supergirl trailer where the girl's like, "They murdered my innocent family." It's like, why did you just add the
As
random
opposed to your
adjective?
guilty
Yeah, why did you just add the random adjective? Anyway, he
they
says he
killed
had
my
a
super
chance to
evil
look
family.
over the chart, and, she's not doing too good because she got crystal in the brain or whatever, and Fisk like, "You're the top man in your field." No, he's not, because Stephen Strange was the top man in his field, so whatever. Uh,
Well, that was a long time ago.
that was 10 years ago, but, yeah, still. I'm mostly joking, but yeah, again, I don't maybe this guy did just get flown out here,
You're the top man in your field, except for
at
that
least
doctor who got in a car crash and became a magic wizard.
at least in Netflix, Wesley, like, there was a passing line from Wesley, and Fisk couldn't really hear it, but he knew it was Hattie. He was, so I can't remember the guy's name, but it's like he's on a jet here. He'll be here for as soon as he can be. You know,
Yeah.
maybe that happened with this guy, but he kind of just showed up, and
Yeah,
he's
it
like,
was
"I'm gonna
just there.
do whatever I can." Um, Here we go. Right off into the so as we zoom in on Vanessa, we don't zoom in, we have a camera on Vanessa, the aspect ratio changes. Um, now what
What? It's
now
so
before
good.
this meant Daredevil's using his powers. That's what aspect ratio meant. Now, in this episode, it means we're going back to Netflix times. That's what this is. So
Mhm.
they this really annoys me. They shoot every scene that takes place in 2015 with the full aspect ratio, and they even like with the same film grain look in the background, and they even try to do some of the color correcting, and it still doesn't look great, but it looks better than anything else in this garbage show. Um, so far, and it's like
It's like, you coulda just, like,
you could have just shot
done
the
the
show
whole
like
show
this.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would look
Anyway,
100 times better.
Remember Vanessa, she works art studio or whatever. She does the art. She knows about art and stuff, and she sees Rabbit in a Snowstorm, and the art lady's like, "Well, no, it's stupid. That's why we don't include it."
Painting sucks.
And Vanessa's like, and then Vanessa just exposits exactly what Fisk self-interprets from it, despite the fact that that was literally like I
She
really hate
hasn't
this scene.
met
I
him.
hate this scene. First off, 2 things. 1, the painting's valuable because it was recovered from Nazi Germany. Um, I know we don't care about that whole lore. Second off, this doesn't even look the same. There's bits of gray painting, and this is literally just white. Like, they may as well have just filmed drywall for this. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It also, I would like to note, she says, she lists the exact conditions for Kingpin coming in and buying it, and then she says, if you get that person interested in it, then you can add 2 zeros to the price, and then later she tells Wilson that he paid 3 times its value for it. That's
yeah.
not how multiplication works, but
But even then,
nice try, show.
you remember how, Vanessa found it very interesting because Fisk didn't walk in and offer to buy the whole store, and then he said, "A woman who can be bought isn't worth having." Um, so, you
Yeah.
know, I don't
Remember when, like, the dialogue mattered?
I'm just saying
Remember that?
I don't really remember, I don't remember the exact context behind him buying it, but I definitely remember that being a central part of, like, I don't think he overpaid for it because I think he paid normal price, probably,
Yep.
and then he came back in to see her, and she was like, and he asked her on a date, and she was like, "I don't think so." And then he was like, "Oh, all right, all right then."
Alright then.
And then he went to turn, and she was like, "Is that it? Because I've had men offer to buy the entire the whole thing for me in the past." Um, you can keep running here. I was gonna get the exact line Fisk says about the painting from
Oh, okay.
Netflix, if you wouldn't mind.
Um, she basically says, if they put that out and the right person comes in, it'll sell faster than anything else. And then her boss says, the piece stays where it is. It's not going in the show. And then it zooms in on Vanessa's face, and she's all sad. And then it cuts back to Matt and Dex, and they're in a tunnel now because every boiler room in New York has a tunnel connected to exactly where you need to go in the city just because that's how buildings work. They go, all right, in like 100 years, this Daredevil guy is gonna need to go from a restaurant by Fogwell's gym to his St. Agnes's church without being detected. So we're gonna need to build that. I don't
Yeah.
know how far away it is, but this is I don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
It's kinda dumb.
I'd
But they
assume
talk about,
so let me
go ahead.
real quick, right before I come in on this. So, yeah, the context behind the Netflix scene when Fisk is there to first spots Rabbit in a snowstorm. Vanessa says the introduction. He's staring at the painting, clearly infatuated by it, and she kind of walks up and she says, "It's an old children's joke, Rabbit in a snowstorm, blah blah blah. It's a white piece of paper. What is it? Rabbit in a snowstorm." And then and
Mhm.
then she goes, "People ask how we can charge so much for what amounts to different shades of white. It's not about the artist or the talent. It's about how it makes you feel." And she asks him how it makes him feel, and then he looks at it and says, "It makes me feel alone." Um, that's because she's a good saleswoman, not because she knows exactly what he's going to think. Anyone can interpret anything from this painting. It's a sheet of white
Yeah,
paper. That's the point. No one like you're not going to get the same answer from every single person. They're not going to look at the white sheet of paper and go, "Well, this obviously is lonely." Now, the writers of this show
yeah,
might be like, "Well, white means lonely, obviously." Um, and then you'd be like, "Why?"
yeah,
They'd be
but
like, "Well,
it's
because it's
also
lonely."
specifically because it ties into Wilson's past, and
Yes, it
there's a
looks
reason it
like
makes him
so.
feel lonely,
Yes,
and that's why he buys it.
yeah, because he stared at the
There's
wall while
all
his mom
re
was
there's
being
reason.
beaten when he was staring at drywall. It's like, you know,
Yeah,
she was just like, "No, obviously the rabbit in a snowstorm painting means lonely." So, she's a good salesperson because you don't just walk in and start shoving your own interpretations of art onto someone trying to buy a piece of art because that's literally
exactly.
that's the whole point. You want them to buy said art, so you're not gonna be like, actually, you're wrong, and this has nothing
Here's
to
what
do with
this
that."
means to me.
Yeah, exactly. And Fisk
Exactly.
becomes obsessed with the painting because it's, how he was essentially introduced to Vanessa. It's how he actually first met, despite what I guess despite that he was stalking her allegedly, which we'll get to that. And then, yeah, and it's like it ties into his past. That's why he becomes so obsessed with the painting. It's not at the end. It's not even really about the painting. It's about Vanessa. It's about that's the whole thing. But it makes him feel alone, and then the painting eventually brings him comfort because it's how it was his original connection with Vanessa. So I just don't like that scene.
Mhm.
But yeah, and again, they do the full aspect ratio for that scene, yet it doesn't quite look right. Like, it's still the color correction's off. Something about it, the lighting is off. Um, Still looks more like a Netflix show, but yes, back to
I will say the lighting gets better later in the episode, but it's
um,
also not entirely consistent in the flashbacks.
they've got the secret special tunnel. So I don't know what this tunnel is. Yeah, like you said, I don't know what it is. My best guess is it
Yeah.
is all in Hell's Kitchen, so I guess it's not too far out of the realm that it does connect to the church because Hell's Kitchen's pretty small, but still it's a bit of a reach. Anyway, this shot, this one looks not bad. The next shot, which the next scene, which is another full aspect ratio. I would tell you the exact aspect ratio, but I'm not. I don't know. I know it's 16:9 is. I don't know what this is. Right. Um, the lighting is mostly better. It's got the yellow tint back. It's still not perfect. Something's still a little off. But again, it's like there's more. This looks more like actual Daredevil than Daredevil. Anyway, Matt and Foggy walk in. Look, I love Charlie Cox and I love Eldon Henson. They can't play these younger versions of the character anymore. It just doesn't look right.
No.
Charlie Cox is
Yeah.
too jacked now, and Eldon Henson's got a little chubbier, and they're both older, obviously. So I was
Yeah.
really confused at when this was supposed to be because looking at them, I'm like, well, it can't be before season one, and they're
Mhm. You
also
kinda just have to go off Charlie Cox's hair.
it can't be
Um,
before season one, but they weren't practicing law between the other season, but, as Nelson and Murdoch, so I was like, my best guess is it's gotta be after season 3? And then it turns out it's not, but we'll get there. Yeah, it's real weird. It's hard to describe this. It's kinda weird. Matt's wearing a scarf because remember Matt wears scarf in college, so he's gotta wear a scarf now. Um,
mhm,
it's
'cause it's young Matt. Young Matt wears a scarf.
yeah, he's also got, like,
Maybe that was 'cause it's cold.
he's got intense stubble that he has for some reason. Anyway, they walk in, Matt and Foggy, they're chopping it up, and they're debating how they can get this guy the best deal possible. Now conveniently, it turns out, well, conveniently later, but for now, it turns out that this guy knew Foggy when they were growing up. Whoa, Mr. McCoy, he knows.
He's Foggy's friend's older brother. He calls Foggy Foggy the Fembot,
Yeah,
so that you know he's an asshole.
and then the other guy. Well, in case it wasn't clear, he's like, "What are you blind? Lame."
Yeah, he looks at the visibly blind guy and goes, "What, are you
I don't
blind
know
or
why
something?"
they love doing they did it a lot in season 1. Both Fiddle Faddle guy and I can't remember, there was another character who did it. They're just like, "Blind, lame. Hey, imagine seeing
"I'm
big dog."
freaking loser."
Yeah, you're blind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Wait,
why. It's
what
like
about
th
colors? Can you
yeah, it's like they just like their goal to establish, like, evil, mean guy is like, "Oh, yeah, blind, by the way. You're blind, Matt, you know that?"
The problem is Fiddle Faddle was supposed to be, like,
That one was
likable.
worse. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
so he I don't exactly remember the context of what their jobs were. I don't know that they would get sent to do this case though when they were working for
I
um
don't know that they would,
that
like,
firm.
entirely alone.
They were like sitting
They
in
might
on
have s
stuff.
been sent
Remember
to
the ultimate reason
assist.
they quit was they
Yeah.
were sitting in on a deposition. Now, Again, maybe they would, but I don't I can't remember exactly. I'm trying to even remember what the firm's called, but I just it's not coming to me, but anyway.
Um,
Anyway, they explained to him like, "Hey man, you did the big crime, so you gotta do the time now." And he's like, "Nah, man, I don't wanna do all that. They're gonna kill me in prison, I guess." And they're like, "Okay." And he said, "I'll go with the public defender." I have about 30 questions. One, why is the extremely expensive law firm representing this guy? And
mhm,
two,
and then sending, like, Matt and Foggy,
well,
who
they would
are
send them
not
because they don't
even
care about this guy, I'd guess, but why do they represent I don't whatever. Anyway, next and he says, like, "You guys don't know who you're working for." And then the next scene cuts and it's Fisk. But this is what I mean. This next scene, I'm like, "Oh, it's Fisk." I'm not like, "Oh, it's Cuckpin." Like, this actually looks like it's
yeah,
Fisk.
I'm like,
This is
"Oh,
probably the best
this is
this is probably the
Fisk."
best shot scene in all of Born Again. This looks almost like it's a
Yeah.
shot out of the Netflix show. You could probably have shown this to me, and I'd be like, "I think that might be." And it's not just because Wesley's in it. Now we get to Wesley. They thankfully don't really ruin Wesley. Um, yeah, like,
They
I don't
don't
know,
let
Fisk
him do enough to ruin it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like
like,
Wesley.
everything. This actual they Fisk conveys intimidation. I don't know about the little green color correction lighting thing here, but it still looks better than
It's close. Are
it's
you
better.
familiar with Bitcoin?
Yeah, okay. It doesn't exactly stay great, but, like, just this shot alone, it's a good close up. You have Wesley blurred in the background. It's kinda stupid, but it's also, like, this is, like, a weird, it's not what's the word? Subversion, whereas, like, Wesley was sitting there and then Fisk is blurred because that's the big reveal, and this, it's like Fisk is in clear focus and Wesley's blurred, which is so stupid, but, um, yeah,
Mm,
like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I would have loved if they would have just chalked this up and done a full flashback episode and just tried to make a season one Netflix. It probably would have sucked fully, which I'd be whatever with, but I would just be curious to say because I'll be honest, a couple of these scenes are almost all right. Um,
yeah. There's the framework for an actual, like, good episode
all of these
here.
flashback scenes
They
are kind
just
of what I thought Daredevil Born Again was gonna be like. Not like it's trying to copy the original, but it's just not quite doing it right. Um,
yeah,
Instead, they both
which
tried to copy it and do
would
its
have
own
been
thing.
better.
But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, Fisk Fisk and Wesley, they're talking, and he says, "You may have an issue with the lion. You may have an issue with the lion." First off, Wesley, great to have him back, even if it's not even really Wesley,
For
but
this.
it is. But still,
He's just his presence is so good.
the biggest
He's
mistake of Netflix was killing Wesley in season one, but they never recovered from
and
that. They
even
still
that was
haven't.
like it was a good it was good story-wise. It's just losing out on having
Well,
Wesley
they
as a
also it
character.
also damages some of the other story wise. Later,
Yeah.
like, in later seasons. It's fine for season 1, but
Yeah.
2 and 3
Not having him ends up hurting later on.
2 and 3 would have greatly improved with
Yeah.
Wesley instead of,
The
what's
2
his
lawyer
like, the
guys.
lawyer guy and then the guy who Matt, like, gets to say Vanessa killed Fisk. Well, yeah. Wesley, there was all just, like, they kept trying to make Wesley and they couldn't get Wesley. So, yeah, that
Yeah.
was the biggest thing in my opinion. Anyway, he says you have a problem with the lion, and then out of out of nowhere, Fisk just goes, "Are you familiar with Bitcoin?" Again, though, I will say the
Greatest
performance from
line
Vincent
ever.
D'Onofrio, it's more like I actually feel like I'm watching Fisk. I'm not watching freaking Cuckpin from this Born Again crap. Um,
Which we
but
get
just like
really bad later this episode.
just the writing is you may be able to shoot it in as much of the style as you want. You may be able to get old actors back, but only
The
the writers of Born
writing
Again would be like,
is
"Are you familiar with Bitcoin?" Which by the way, Wesley talks him out of.
have you heard of cryptocurrency?
Wesley talks him out of doing it, yet this cost Fisk like trillions, depending on how much they would have bought, because Bitcoin
Yeah.
was worth like $300 in 2015.
Yeah.
So way to go, Wesley. You screw it up. That's probably the only thing I'd be like, they ruined Wesley. Wesley, they're like, by the way,
Yeah.
Wesley just made Fisk lose. Like Fisk doesn't even have to do any more crime if he just sets his assets in Bitcoin. He's good. He can
If you
do
put like
whatever.
$1 billion
He
in
literally would
Bitcoin.
develop monopoly money just from doing investing in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. But
So
basically they're trying
so well,
to
okay, but then he says this
diversify
line.
their money.
But he says this line. In light of the Russians, I think we should diversify. What does that even mean?
I don't know because this is before season 1.
This
So
is
this is
before
before.
they would be like big evil with the Russians.
Yeah, this is he might not have even met the Russians at this
So
point.
I really, it's hard to gauge. So it'd be like, well, you would have met them, I'll say. Well, Fisk hasn't, but Wesley
I don't
probably has.
know because this could still be technically this could still be before he like took over all of Rigoletto's stuff.
So it's 3 months. Super weird. It is at a minimum has to be after longer than 3 months before the start of season 1.
Yeah,
Because
because Foggy
Foggy and
and
Matt
Matt
are
are
like,
still.
hey, we're 3 months away from having enough to start Nelson and Murdoch, but then they
Mhm.
give all that money away, and then they quit later down the line, and they're walking into Nelson and Murdoch's office in episode 1. Um, Now maybe they get money. I can't remember exactly. Matt does have a trust fund, so I'm not sure exactly what all that money's doing, but whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, because the money he got from his dad was spent on college and stuff.
okay, yeah, that's right, that's right. Anyway,
Yeah. So
yeah,
he
so
did, but like he went to what? They went to Columbia, right? So it's not exactly
yeah.
cheap. I don't know. They
Anyway,
went to
Fisk
law
is
school, so
they're sitting here and yeah, they're doing some they're doing some talking. Um, I will say Fisk's body doesn't look real. I'm just looking at one scene with his
no,
head
it's
moving.
bad earlier in the episode. You can tell he's wearing a muscle suit, and the
It's very
less
weird.
like layers of his suit he has on, the more obvious it is. So when he's just wearing like the button-up shirt, it's really bad. Whereas like when he has a suit jacket on, it's not. You can't quite tell as much. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
don't.
less he's wearing,
Again,
the worse it
look,
looks.
this suit does just look weird. I don't think Kingpin wasn't exactly wrapping up the pinstripes when he was. I don't even think he had those in his closet actually in season 1. We could actually double check that. So
I
he
don't remember.
he must have burned this suit.
We
He's
could
probably
debunk.
so now technically. I think we'd have to double
It
check it,
might have
but
been at the dry cleaners.
it's probably canon now that he saw Vanessa in the window at the end of this episode, and he was like, "She's gonna think this suit's lame," and then he burnt it. And then season 1 starts later
Pinstripes
down
would
the
be
line.
ugly.
Yeah. um, but yeah,
Especially
Wesley,
with
he
the
knows
whole thing of him,
Wesley
like,
knows
wearing
some
the same
crypto
suit
bros.
every day, but right now he's wearing pinstripes
Yeah.
before he ends up wearing the same suit it's stupid, but
Yeah. Anyway, Wesley knows some crypto bros, but then he's like,
did
"Hey, we
watch
need to do art instead." That's not why Fisk
I
bought
have a
art. He
friend in
bought it
the art
because
world.
his penthouse was ready, and he wanted to add some art to his penthouse. Um, but
Mhm.
yeah, cool. Anyway,
And
which
then
I
we
guess
see
he does
Vanessa.
technically say that. He says it also is posing as something meaningful or whatever. Anyway, Vanessa, she's getting the
Yeah,
big surgery.
but
Hold
posing
on.
instead of actually being something meaningful, which it is.
Hold on. She's getting surgery. Lighting's blue.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I will say. They always paint Vanessa in super bright white light in this episode, and they do the same thing they do with Bullseye Daredevil white light. So white means Vanessa.
I
Just
guess, yeah, that's what we're establishing. And then
idiot.
while she's, like they're operating on her brain, it, like, focuses on her hand, and she, like,
And she points.
points, and then it cuts to Wilson's reflection in the glass, and then we go back to Daredevil and
Yep.
Dex.
So
I
when I
don't
was saying this is a compiled episode of better episodes, this is a mix of both that episode where Vanessa's in the hospital, and then James Wesley goes and gets Karen, and then this, that, and the other thing. Whereas instead of James Wesley, it's Buck, and instead of getting Karen, it's Daniel Blake, sort of. And then Fisk, instead of
yeah.
not being instead of there being political maneuvering because Vanessa's in the hospital and Fisk's out of commission and he's not going to leave Vanessa's bedside and Leland and Madame Gao need stuff to keep moving because the whole operation relies on Fisk, and as long as she's there, she's a distraction. And they also know if Fisk finds out they're screwed. No, instead it's just Fisk is like sitting here, he's like and then everyone's like, is now I will say there's genius political maneuvering by BB Urich. She got the scoop, and of course she can't share it because no one else has it. And then ultimately she knows Daniel Blake would know she leaked it if it got out, but so I'm sure she won't. And then mixed with that, it's also a
She would
parallel.
never do that.
It's a horrible parallel of season 1, episode 6, maybe, where Daredevil has Vladimir trapped in a
Yeah.
abandoned house. Now, the reason they can't get out of that warehouse is because there's a perimeter surrounding
Surrounded, yeah.
it, because that's what police do.
Which is
And
like
we'll get there.
something that they don't do anymore.
Yeah, they did
They
that
don't
back,
set up perimeters
anyway,
anymore because
yeah,
it's
it's
too
very
many people
similar
are dead,
because
I
remember
guess, so.
Vladimir did some pretty messed up stuff to one of Daredevil's close friends, Claire. He kind of did some bad stuff. Whereas Bullseye, he killed one of Matt's best friends.
Mhm.
The writing won't be as good, and everything else sucks. But and also a similar thing because eventually, ultimately, Vladimir chooses to die against Daredevil's wishes. Whereas in this one, he's like, "Nah, bro, I just want to die and stuff, bro."
Bro, I literally
can't
can't save you and myself. And then he hesitates for a full minute and then does just that.
You're not. Yeah, he
But we'll
says
get
you're
to
not
that.
gonna mourn me. You need help. Let's go. First you try to kill me, and and he's like, now you're trying to save me, and I'm the one
Now
who
you're
needs
trying to
help.
save me?
And then Matt says that he is trying to save him because he killed him. But even though I believe Twitter told me that Matt was trying to murder him for redemption. Um,
Yeah, it was for redemption because that's how Catholicism works, is if you wanna get redeemed, you murder someone.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Matt's like, no, man, I gotta save you. Sure, I guess. Um, I don't know, just most of these scenes suck. There's one that's almost good, and then they ruin it at the end. And I also don't even know that it's almost good. I didn't have a chance to really analyze dialogue. Anyway, Matt and Foggy, they're in their office. Remember this office area? Matt's glasses are very red. His glasses were more black at this point. This is more of a nitpick. I'm gonna be real.
Mhm.
He wasn't quite full red glasses yet. This episode,
Mhm.
this is the scene where it is very clear Charlie Cox is too jacked now to be playing Matt. His jawline is too chiseled. His hair it's got to be a hairpiece. Something doesn't look right about his hair. And
Yeah, I
then
feel like the hair would be the easiest thing to do,
his shoulders are so like he
but
is too in shape to be this young version of it, because that was still when Matt himself he was pretty lean. But Charlie Cox has since gotten massively
Mhm.
jacked, which that's kind of not. He looks almost his jawline. It's so hard to describe. He almost looks like Aaron Eckhart with a lot of the guy who plays Harvey Dent. He's got the very pronounced jawline now. It's so noticeable.
Mhm.
And then Eldon Henson almost has it, but he's older now. It's like I'm not gonna fault him for that. He does
Yeah.
a great job. He still plays Foggy, but the writing's a little all
Yeah.
over the place. But he's also just a bit fatter, which is fine. But I'm not expecting him to do sit
It's
ups
like
to get
he's, like, 10
to
years older,
slightly
so
less
it's like
fat. Yeah, it's not. It ain't there. Something's not quite right with how they look. Um, like
yeah,
I
it's like
can't
he's
believe
10 years older and he's trying to play even younger than they were in the original
exactly. I
series,
can't
which just
believe
doesn't work.
this version of Matt and Foggy are like only a few months away, maybe, from the guys who walk out of Exxon, who like quit after the Exxon deposition. Just pull up those scenes side by side. I'm gonna make another nitpick. The color correction in this room they got wrong. It was always a darker kind of more dreary color direction, kind of
They
like
also didn't have a window. They were in, like, a broom closet type office without a window, and now they
yeah,
have a
they're
window.
still so they kind of get their lighting right later. It's still not quite right. I don't know. But yes,
It's actually, like, seconds later that they
Landman and
cut
Zach,
to
that's the name,
the
by the
room.
way. They do show it in this
Thank
episode.
you. Thank you.
Landman and Zach. Which they did in fairness to the show, they seem to there's one thing we'll get to that they really seem to have missed. Fisk was represented by Landman and Zach. That was, hey, they got that.
Mhm.
Um, go watch Landman instead of
It's kinda
this.
like the writers of this show watched the original while on their phone, and then
Right.
wrote this show for someone watching this show while on their phone.
Landman and Zach, bro. Landman and Zach. That's fine.
Zach.
Anyway, yeah, they're saving up and they're like, we want to open Nelson Murdoch. I mean, they weren't like They kind of had their thing in college, and but they weren't like super like, hey, they were like Foggy. They were like happy to be at Laramie. Like they were like, this is a big firm. We can get up here. We can move up in the world.
Yeah.
And then it was because Matt didn't feel right representing guy. And Foggy didn't either. But Foggy was also more, which again we'll get to because it's kind of different. They're kind of misrepresenting the different
They
characters.
kind of flip their dynamic.
They
Yeah.
didn't. Matt didn't really want to because it was morally wrong, and he knew the guy wasn't lying. But Foggy doesn't. But Matt's like, I don't want to do it, and he's like, all right, and then they pack up and leave. Whereas this one, they're like, hey, we got all the money saved. But I guess we'll give them their credit. Hey, Matt wears earbud when he's doing computer research in season 1, and then Netflix. So we got him here. Foggy drinks a Corona. Congrats
They
on the
both drink a
sponsorship,
Corona.
I guess.
Good job. Good job, guys.
Congrats on getting sponsored. But yeah, we'll get to the thing that really annoys me. There was
and
one thing that annoyed me the most. Did they get their money here? Yeah. There's one thing that annoyed me the most in this whole episode because it takes like the so-called new team, which is apparently fans of they're here to protect the old show. Matt is like, hey, we're calling our new firm Murdoch and Nelson. So in the scene that everyone who misses everything loves to talk about, and even the writers of the show they already misrepresented it, right? They already said avocados at law in season 1. In that same scene, Foggy goes Murdoch and Nelson, avocados at law, and Matt goes Nelson and Murdoch. Sounds better. Yeah, and then best damn avocados this city's ever seen. Matt already had that idea in college. They have graduated. They're out of college. They are working for Lamon and Zach now, which that came after college. So Matt's already said, hey, Nelson and Murdoch sounds better. That's what we're going to go with. It should be Nelson and Murdoch. Then Matt says, hey, got allowance for the Murdoch and Nelson law firm. And this isn't the only time. It brings it back later. This just annoyed me because it's like, dude, you wrote the show. You couldn't just watch the first season?
Like,
you can just watch it. Like, it's not that hard to get that right.
Especially when you're doing a flashback episode, you couldn't just watch and copy one of the original show's flashback episodes.
Yeah, and it also it doesn't help that a lot of these shots are going to be going they got to compare directly up to one of the best episodes of the original Netflix show as well, with which is Nelson v. Murdoch, which also did flashbacks to this room, but they were good. Anyway, you wanna walk to the next scene? I'm gonna pull up some side by sides here of the what Lamb and Zach look like, and
they basically say their boss, Foggy says he's probably into some weird stuff like feet, and Matt says he doesn't mind feet. So Daredevil likes feet. That's great. And then they drink Corona.
And by the way,
Foggy,
you aren't wrong. Their warehouse is way smaller. Their little office area. There's not a
giant window.
They're interning in a.
Also, why would they give Matt, the blind guy, the window side? The reason is because the set has the window on that side, and this is Matt was on the left side in their original office. That's the actual reason. But why would they give the blind guy the view?
Yeah. Real quick before we fully move on, I know I keep doing this where I'm like, real quick before we move on, but it's because it takes me a second to pull up the scene here. Anyway, the scene where they choose to leave Lamon and Zach. Basically, Foggy walks in all excited, and he's like, "Hey, we're getting our offices. We're not going to be interning anymore." Are you there, by the way? Because you're frozen on my screen.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
Okay, I think it's good on the stream, but I have to hold on. Let me refresh my thing real quick. But it's okay, or just work. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, it's fine. So I'm gonna keep talking. And they're like, we're getting our own offices. We're not gonna be interning in a broom closet anymore. And he's like, they're so happy. He's like, we're gonna glass and steel at Landman and Mother effing Zach. And then they leave.
And Mother effing Zach.
But yeah, it's like the scene correction, it's kinda grayish. It's not that they didn't get the color right. It's kind of a nitpick, but it's actually I wouldn't say it's a nitpick because
It's gray, and then
try to
the window is
misrepresent
actually a little blue.
if you're gonna misrepresent the show, you have to do it right. If you wanna sit here and try to represent the show, you have to actually do it correctly. It's just not the same
Yeah,
office. The color correction's wrong. The context of how they're acting is wrong. Yeah, just, alright,
yeah.
that's all. My
Anyway,
side tangent.
Foggy catches that on the warrant to arrest and then search the apartment of, what's the guy's name?
Doesn't matter.
I can't remember. The
Doesn't
guy they're
matter.
representing, it's the wrong address on the warrant. So basically, all the evidence they got and everything is inadmissible. Can use this to get the guy off, basically. Um, and Matt asks him like if he really wants to do that because Matt says, he's a drug dealer. He's done this bad stuff. Um, so would it be right to do that? And then he's just like, well, he was also mean to you, Foggy. So, do you really want to give him this get out of jail free card, basically? Which is just not with Matt's character in the slightest.
Well, I think it's
He
not
believes in second chances, even with the worst of people.
well, hold on, it is still Matt's character. The dude broke the law, Matt thinks he should go to jail. That is within Matt's character. Him going Matt Foggy going, "Well, he's gonna die if he goes," and Matt going, "Puh, sucks to be him." That's not in Matt's character. Foggy is pretty concerned with the letter of the law, now the loophole thing. I don't know. Again, going back
Mhm.
how he's supposed to be in this moment. They come off of that deposition at the Exxon case. Matt knows the guy's lying, or Matt knows the guy's not lying, and he should get off. He shouldn't be punished for this. And whereas Feige's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, it sucks for the guy, but we can get offices here. It's like they had to challenge each other on becoming better people. Kind of that's maybe not quite the right term, but yeah, it's just not not quite right. It's not. It is pretty congruent with this show because remember Foggy he finds the loophole in with Red Hook or whatever.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
gets himself murdered.
Yeah. Anyway, news report. Well, I guess hold on. Fisk and Wesley. He's like, hey, we have a specialist assassin in town. Is he? And Fisk like, is he available? Wesley's like, yeah. Anyway, next scene. The news somehow gets report that first off, his approval ratings are what? Let me see this real quick. Let me see it because they say something about his approval ratings, which you know, they just say his approval ratings just otherwise. So anyway, they just report, Vanessa Fish, she's in critical condition. Only one person on planet Earth knows that.
Hmm. Who leaked it? I don't know.
Anyway, some journalist gets in here and says, "Mr. Blake, can I get an update on Mrs. Fisk?" And TikTok man's like, "No, go away." And then Buck Cashman is like, "Hey, leave, bro." And
He's like,
he
hey,
just
get out of here.
he just keeps telling him go
And
away.
then random
And he's
side
like, "Hey,
officer
man."
Hitler also walks up and stands there
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, man,
because they're
task
all
force will beat you up, bro, because we're the bad guys." And
we're
then
the
Buck
bad
says, "Hey, I could
guys.
go for a hot dog." Because remember they talked about hot dogs in that one episode. Anyway, next scene. Oh well, first Buck's like, "Hey, man, whoever leaked this bad news," and then he's like,
Anyway,
"Yeah, man,
I
it's
gotta
bad news.
run
Just
an
eat a hot dog."
errand. Want to go with?
Um,
And then we get super obvious muscle suit Kingpin and Vanessa and the doctor. And the doctor says, we hope that she'll be all right. And Fisk is like, hope she will be all right. Which is, whatever.
anyway, Vanessa,
But
she's setting up in an art gallery, which is just in a random
flashback.
building in New York. This is not the art gallery that she actually meets Kingpin in. It does say temporary. Um,
It could
I
be like
it's it's just weird that there's an art gallery here and then
that
they
isn't
move
the
it
same.
to a different place in New York. but whatever.
Yeah,
They
and they
hang up,
also,
Rabbit in a
like,
snowstorm.
fully set up the exhibit here, and then, like, a week later, I guess, move it to the other place.
Yeah, but anyway, they set it up, and then we flash back or flash forward slash still a flashback to Fiskstein Island where Fisk, he and Vanessa, they really love each other. Wow. She holds his
Dude,
hands
I
even though
still is that even, like, a real
well,
is that a flashback, or is that, like, an imagination thing?
I can actually answer this for you. So, as you can see, she holds his hands, and remember, she doesn't like Fisk's hands because 'cause they're not as soft as Adam's. So, this has to be a dream
Yeah,
because she's imagining he has soft hands.
gotcha, gotcha.
I'm
I
assuming it's
guess
real
it did
'cause
say the
I'm
other
assuming it is
episode that
real because they
they
mentioned
went
the
to the
island,
beach and
yes.
he liked it, and then, they ripped
Attack of the
off
Cl Attack
Attack
of
of the Clones dialogue.
He doesn't like sand. Anyway, Vanessa, she's in there, and Kingpin, he's all like, "Man, no, I hope you live," and they're holding hands again, but remember, she doesn't like his hands because she likes sexy hands Adam.
She likes
Um, and then it zooms in on Fisk's eyes, and then it cuts to Daniel Blake,
he
this
goes,
is
"You know,
genius.
there's hot dogs on every corner, Buck. Buck, they got hot dogs all over the place, man. I'm walking
Alright,
here.
look,
I'm from New
I gotta
York."
I just gotta say this, I like this kid enough. His dad is also his dad is a pretty famous guy, um, but,
Mhm.
I mean, if nepotism ain't clear with this kid. Look, I like the kid. I'm sure I like the guy. I'm sure he's not. I'm not trying to be Dana White here and just call people older than me kid or like, but
Yeah,
um, he can't act. He's the same. He acts the exact same in Warfare. He's in Warfare and he just plays Daniel Blake.
yeah.
Like he doesn't got range. it's not. It's he doesn't have range. You know. I don't like the character, but I'm sure the actor himself is fine, or the person himself. He's
Seems
not the
like a
character.
fine person, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
yeah, he's like, "Hey, man, hot dog carts." Buck's like, "We're going to Albany," and he's like, "Oh no, I can't believe we're going to Albany." And then Buck's like, "Hey, hey, I know you leaked." He doesn't say this explicitly, but he's like, "Hey, whoever leaked it, they're gonna get big
is
killed,
in big trouble.
and I will person. I'm the killer guy, so I'm gonna kill him."
Like, found out the other episode, I'm a super lethal killer guy from the from the
And then he's also
SAS.
like, he's like, "Hey, by the way, I Fisk saved me at a pivotal moment in my life, and you gotta define what kind of man you are. Fisk changed my life in one of those moments." And then he's like, "Hey, you really come up in the world." And then Dana Blake's, of course, like, "Well, Mr. Fisk was gonna kill me because I leaked all that information about the garbage to BB Urich, and then he gave me a promotion for some reason." Um, And then he's like, "Yeah, anyway, it's really impressive they got all those promotions considering Muse and the Northern Star League. That's not good." I don't know what the Muse thing is.
I honestly don't know.
But I remember they were trying to keep Muse under wraps. Somehow he like killed like 60 people. So I guess maybe that.
Yeah,
They don't even mention, by the
dude.
way, that leak he had that was the whole like, "Listen, Daniel, I'll murder the crap out of you if you do anything like that again."
Yeah, which was like 2 days ago.
Well, no, that was the second time. That was when he's like, "You did something like that again, so now I'm gonna
Yeah.
murder the crap out of you," but I'm not actually. And he was like, "What's 18 more years when we when everything's gone?" And he's like, "You, Mr. Fisk, I'll still have you.
"You, Mr.
We'll
Fisk."
fill all the potholes together." And then Fisk flew away.
Yeah.
Anyway, they pull up to Beckerly Lumber and Supply, and
Buck
and
Buck
he looks
goes
at
and
Buck and
buys
he's like,
a
he says,
Sawzall and a shovel.
Hold on." He says, "Hey, Buck, am I in trouble?" And then Buck is like, "Nah, man, but stay in the car." And then he's like, well, he doesn't say anything. He's like, "I'll be right back." And then what? And then he's like, "I'll come with you." And he's like, "Nah, bro, stay in the car. Get some beef jerky or help you out or whatever." And he's like, Nah, bro, stay in the car for realsies this time." And then Daniel, he's gonna drive away for a second, but he doesn't, and he gets visibly very sick. Which, you know what? Maybe we'll give him. Maybe I'll say he can act a little bit. He does a very good job of looking like he's about to throw up. Um,
Yeah, he does.
and then Yeah, Buck walks out with a sawzall, like super evilly looking too, like stone cold expression. He didn't get a bag or receipt or nothing. He's just got a sawzall and a shovel.
No smile, just like, I'm evil.
I would
I'm
not
gonna kill
recommend
you
buying the
and chop you
Sawzall and
up and bury you.
shovel close to where you're gonna bury somebody, because they ever find the
Especially
body
not both from the same store.
they ever
Somebody didn't
find
watch
the
Breaking
body, they're
Bad.
gonna be like, "Hey, check for
Don't buy it all
Sawzall
in one
sales,
place. It's too obvious.
check for Sawzall and shovel sales." And they'll go look at lumber store, he's like, "Some British guy who works for the mayor, I've seen his pic, he stands right next to the mayor. He bought a Sawzall
Yeah.
and a shovel."
And then like drove off into the woods. I don't. It's kind of
Anyway, we're
crazy.
back
I'm
in
pretty
we're
sure he killed a guy.
and then Daniel, he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get sawzalled and shoveled into the
He's
ground."
dead.
Which, by the way, if he was genuinely
And then
concerned
we come
about
back to
dying
Chris.
here, wouldn't he just leave?
Nah, because he's loyal to Fisk.
He's about to get the crap murdered out of him, though.
I'm loyal, Myth the Fifth. Kill me if
He's
you
about
have
to
to,
get
Myth the
murdered in the
Fifth.
face. Anyway, we cut back. We're back in Netflix world. You can tell because it's yellow. This one shot of Kingpin is probably, I will take it back now. This is now the new best shot of Born Again. Still not great. Still not quite right. But just on his face, he's doing the right facial expression. The shot is composed pretty decently. I wouldn't say great. The color correction almost looks right. There you go. There's that shot. We then immediately ruin it with a whole bunch of CGI smoke filling the street like they love. And freaking Buck Cashman. Wesley gets out of the car and greets Buck Cashman, who was there the whole time. Obviously, remember Buck Cashman. They need to now go
And
back
they
and like
also, it's not even that it's like they just now recruit Buck, and this is how they first meet Buck. When he sees Wesley, he's like, "It's been a long time, eh, Wes? How you doing? You've come a long way. You're moving up in the world." So it's like, Buck has been around since Fisk was born, I guess. Like,
they now need to
I'm surprised he didn't help beat up the bullies with Fisk's dad.
they now need to go back in time, or not go back in time. They need to do that thing where they, you know how they like will just randomly edit stuff out of shows, like with Stranger Things, they edited the Under Armour or like the coffee cup in Game of Thrones. They got to go back now, and the guy in the
Mm.
in season one, episode one, where Wesley's like, "Look at that assassin right there." They need to just superimpose like a PNG of Buck, like
Buck's face.
like don't even do it well, just like keyframe of a PNG image on it. Yeah, it's like, what is he doing here? And he
No,
looks
because
like
he
he's
ends up
trying to
dying, doesn't he?
yeah, well, no, but that's
Doesn't
you don't
Rance
do
end
it in
up
that
dying?
scene. You don't do it in that scene. You only do it in the
Oh,
scene with the daughter. That way
it's
he's
just a
still there.
different.
And then yeah, yeah. Well, no,
That's
because
fair.
then Rance can try to kill Karen. But you know, it was Buck who
Yeah.
was gonna kill the girl. Anyway, Buck looks like he's trying to cosplay as Bucky Barnes in Captain America: Civil War. Yeah, he's like, "Hey man, we need you to do some killing." Okay.
Oh man, here I go killing again.
And he's gonna go
Uh,
kill McCoy, Lionel McCoy, the lion. They should have just if you wanted to do this, again, do a full flashback episode about Fish taking down Rigoletto. That's an interesting kinda some lore there you could do.
mhm.
It still would suck. Again, color again, it's not perfect anytime, but it still looks better in most of these shots. The lighting looks more
It looks
like
better and it
looks
has
good.
more character than any of Born Again does,
And the film
and
grain
it's
looks fine.
because they're just trying to copy it.
Anyway, they got him out of prison and he's like, "I'm gonna wait for him to come find me." What? We're about like, let's be nice. Let's say we're 6 months
The
away from a
guy who
dude.
didn't.
Can I finish real quick? Let me. I'll let you
Yeah,
go.
go ahead.
We're about. Let's be generous and say 6 months. We're 6 months away from a dude impaling his head on a spike because he was so terrified of Fisk. All right, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, this is the guy who like 10 minutes ago in the episode was like, "I'm not going to jail, man. They'll murder me." And then he doesn't go to jail, and he's like, "Come get me, bro. I'll wait." Pulls the teacher on him. "I'll wait."
Yeah, again, sit like maybe 6 months from a guy impaling his head on a spike
Literally
because Fisk is that
gouging his
scary.
brain open because he's scared of Fisk.
Bullseye and Matt, they're in the church now. Matt does a prayer. Remember, Matt Catholic, so he pray. Um, Dude, I don't yeah, and he's like, "We should be safe here for now," and Bullseye's like, "Safe?" Which, not a bad thing considering Bullseye was part of a police force that surrounded the church and then ran inside, and he dressed up as Daredevil and killed a preacher, but, whatever, killed a priest, but, yeah, Bullseye's, like, safe. There's almost elements of good dialogue here, I think, but first, like, if Vanessa dies, you know
Mhm.
what happens? Fisk shakes upside down. Fisk does that if Vanessa doesn't die. Fisk Fisk murdered the crap out of his associates because he found out they tried to kill Vanessa. Who did they originally pin it on? It wasn't the Russians, was it?
Caleb, he crushed his associate's head with a car door because he interrupted his dinner with Vanessa.
I know, but I'm just gonna go for the one-to-one comparison
Like,
here.
that's the same guy.
Let's go for the one-to-one comparison here.
But yeah,
Do you remember who did they try to pin Vanessa's poisoning on in
Leland
the
and
Netflix
the
show? No, no, who they try to pin it on?
the
Not Leland did it.
um
I think the Russians were already exploded by then, and
yeah, it was
it might
Leland and Madame Gao that did it.
maybe was it the Yakuza? I can't remember. They tried to pin it on somebody.
I
I don't
don't
remember
remember
exactly.
exactly what they did. Um, but yeah, once he found out it was actually Leland,
By the way,
his
go watch The Path of
longtime
Righteousness.
business partner.
Season 1, episode 11. Go watch The Path of Righteousness. It's so much better than this. That's the
Yeah,
episode where
yeah,
Fisk is in prison. Or not in prison, in the hospital.
yeah, yeah. Once he found out that Leland did it, he showed up and threw him down an elevator shaft and murdered him.
Mhm. Yep.
So yeah.
But yeah, and they're like, anyway, if she does die, then we're screwed. By the way, when they said
Yeah,
out
we're
of town
not screwed for
specialist, I was only
trying to
like
kill her.
half paying attention, and I was like, "Bro, just do Turk. Let's just make it fully ridiculous. Just have them like they're randomly
Dude,
meeting
no,
with
I
Turk."
I thought it was I didn't even think it was gonna be Buck because I didn't think they were like I didn't think they were gonna do the whole "he's here all along" thing, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Rance. It's gonna be Rance. Cool. I get to see." I'm the show is so bad that if they Glupshido Rance the assassin from like 3 episodes, I would, or for like 2 or 3, I would get excited.
Anyway, so I
Not
will.
because it's good, just to be like, "Oh, they watched the show. They know who that guy
I'm
is."
scrubbing through the episode. So initially, Wesley's suspicious of Gao because she doesn't show up to the hospital, and Wesley's like, and then Leland does a good job of covering. He's like, I don't know. She said she was deeply saddened and quoted a fortune cookie or some mystical shit. And then Wesley asked if she sounded sincere, and he's like, and Ozzy's like, I don't know. She was speaking in Chinese. And he's, I don't think I
He also
translated to
said
like
though,
me
like,
very much. He kept staring at me funny.
when they got to the hospital, he was like, I had one of those glasses. Am I gonna die?" And he did a pretty good job of selling
Yeah, yeah.
that. Because Leland is a character.
She said it was, and she said he's stand with it. So it comes to us. She says, "You believe her?" And he's like, "I don't know, maybe." So that was good. But, um, yeah. But anyway, there was actual like, they're trying to figure out who it was.
And also, if
Essentially,
you're trying to sell, you and your partner are like, if you're trying to convince someone that you and the other person you worked with were not involved with murdering someone, you wouldn't go, "Nah, me and Madame Gao are both definitely clear, but that guy over there is suspicious." You would be like, I don't know. She was speaking Chinese. I don't know, man, but I'm scared that I might also die. And she quoted a fortune cookie or something. I don't even know.
that
It's
guy's a
He's a
stinky poo poo.
smart
I don't trust him.
character. Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
know what
No,
else?
me and
Very
Madame
good.
Gao were hanging out we were having a sleepover and playing Halo 3, but that guy over there said he was gonna murder Vanessa. Like,
Anyway, yeah, this episode is very good, and it's an episode that is almost entirely based around side characters, very Born Again esque. There's still a bit of Daredevil in it,
mhm.
but I'm just saying, like it doesn't
And
have to be
every
garbage.
single side character is super interesting.
It doesn't have to be garbage. Now they still put enough Daredevil in it and Matt Murdock in it that it doesn't suck balls. The first half of the episode is almost entirely Matt Murdock, but still, it's like,
Mhm.
but anyway, yeah. Anyway, they keep going. They're still arguing. He says he kills me. Bullseye's like, he's not gonna kill you, bro. For some reason, I don't know why. He's like, no, he's only gonna kill me. He's not gonna kill us. And then yeah, and that's like us. I was there. That's enough. He also just killed that. It doesn't have anything to do with because of Vanessa. You've kind of just ruined his life multiple times,
Yeah.
both as Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
Yeah, he was gonna kill you after, like, a couple minor inconveniences in senior season 1.
Anyway, we start doing this thing that
And now you like
they start doing this thing that they love to do of cutting back and forth between scenes. It's jarring. Don't do this. Again, season 1, episode 11. I'm just doing it because the one I pulled up. There's like multiple stretches where there's just 10 minutes of uninterrupted dialogue. Anyway, this time we're cutting
it
though
was
between a
funny.
flashback and this garbage. That this is an artsy shot in this church. And if it's not clear that Netflix style is just so much better than Born Again style, just look at these scenes because them trying to mimic Netflix style looks better than Born Again style. Um. Anyway,
Yeah.
Foggy. So first off, Matt mentions Claire, and I was like, "Don't you freaking dare, bro! Don't you dare!" Because he says, "I know someone who can help, a nurse," and I'm like, "Don't
Mhm.
you dare, bro!" Thankfully, they don't. Um. Thankfully, they do not. Oh, you're gone. He's gone. I hope the stream is still up. I see that. Okay. Um. Yeah. Anyway. Um. Where I completely lost my train of thought.
Wait,
But yeah, they didn't do Claire, and then so Foggy he goes and he sees the lion, and he's like, "Hey man, here's all of my money. Get out of here." Um. It's so weird, bro. It's so after he
he's
says a
like
nurse,
he's like,
after he says
"You
a nurse,
gonna give
Bullseye.
me money?"
But after he
And
says a nurse,
Foggy's like,
Bullseye.
"Actually, I already get."
After he says nurse, Bullseye's like nurses, doctors, lawyers, vigilantes, assassins, killing people, saving people. I'm trying to get the full dialogue. Act like it makes a difference. What?
It's like, "Oh, but it does though."
What does this even mean? Also, weren't you all last episode like, if I kill Vanessa, it'll make a difference?
Yeah. And at the start of this episode, he was like, "I can die now. I balance the scales because I killed Vanessa."
Like it matters at all. Yeah, if I die, aka Vanessa killing people, makes a difference. Um, that makes no sense. Anyway, Foggy gives gives the lion all his money, and then and he's like, "Hey, and I hope you do it all good, bro. You're gonna get out of here. You got a second chance here. You're getting out." Um, Bullseye then keeps talking. He says, "Not about them. It's about you, about me." I guess meaning the task force trying to just people. What? You see, this is why I wouldn't recommend cutting back and forth between scenes because I can't tell what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
And brother, we are who we are. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So he said, nurses, doctors, lawyers, vigilantes, and assassins,
He
killing
says
people, saving people, like it makes a difference. And then he says, it's not about them, it's about you and me, people. And brother, we are who we are. What? I don't even know, like, I don't even know what to say about that. And he chuckles because Bullseye smiles, and Matt just keeps staring up in the church. Like, anyway, Lionel McCoy keeps talking, and he's, he gives a little heartfelt. This actor's like better than half the people in this show, by the way. This guy playing the lion, and he's like, "Hey,
mhm.
Foggy, you and my friend, I didn't have a friend like that. You're my brother. You guys are friends. I didn't have a friend like that." Um, and Foggy says, "I know." And Dex keeps going with his incoherent rambling. We're all doing the same thing here, acting something out, scratching some kind of itch.
Right
But
when
the
you think
worst
it's
part,
gone,
yeah, but the worst part
it
is when you
comes
think you
back
got it
again.
beat,
Yeah.
you think right when it's gone, I outran it. Then you turn a corner and bam. What? This is genuinely just incoherent. He's just yapping. and like the music and the framing, Wilson Bethel's acting his heart out. Did they cut lines? This like this doesn't make any sense.
It's
I
like
mean,
they think they were making a scene that was on par with, like, the original show's dialogue, and they were like, "Yeah,
but
we
even then it's
guys."
not because they're just cutting back and forth.
They're like, "Guys, we did it this time. We really did it."
There
And
it
it's
is. Yeah,
but
there
there's,
it
like,
is. Staring
there's
you
no
right in the
substance.
face. Only it's worse this time. And it's always gonna be there. It was always gonna be there. Like, this is so I guess he's talking about how he killed Foggy, um, which I guess he cares about Foggy. I would've this whole thing makes so much more sense if it was about, Ray Nadeem. Um,
Yeah, his friend.
but again, that was 10 years ago, so I figure probably already came to terms with that. Uh, I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, the Lionel, he's like, "Hey, don't ever come back here." And then Foggy says he's got you. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean because this guy's about to run. I don't where's his brother? Is his brother dead? I thought his brother was dead.
I don't know.
Either way, I don't care. Foggy leaves, and then Dex keeps talking, says there's no escaping it. No escaping. I need to see these scenes like in an actual sequential order instead of cutting back and forth between this other scene because I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Dude, I don't know. They're doing it so they can have Daredevil, like, leave and then be like, "No, that's not what
Imagine
Foggy would want," and go back.
Imagine the scene where because this has gotta be what they think it is. Imagine the scene where Daredevil and Punisher are sitting in the grave or sitting in the cemetery and talking because that's what they think. It's gotta be what they think this is. They think it's that deep. Matt talking to the guy he took down, the killer, and he's giving his thoughts on his internal why he does it. Imagine the dialogue made no sense, but even if the dialogue stays the exact same, they were just cutting to like a random flashback from Matt's youth while that was
Mhm.
happening. Like Frank goes, he says, "Get him, daddy. Get him." And then it just cuts to, like, Matt sitting
And then
in
it's
the
like Matt
church.
learning Braille.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and it just cuts to the random flashback scene. And yeah, and he looks at me, he said, "Get him, daddy. Kill him." And then it's just like, "You starting to read that faster than I read normal."
Maddie,
I
you could
already
al
read
Dad, I already read faster
yeah.
than you.
Which is another good scene, but again, it's like imagine it's just randomly cut in with that other with that scene that is 10 times better, and that's not saying the first scene's bad, it's just that's one of the best scenes ever. It
Yeah.
just don't they can't give 10 minutes of just uninterrupted dialogue. A, because they can't write it. B, they don't have interesting enough characters to deliver it. But this is the closest you have. Wilson Bethel's a great actor. Bullseye is an interesting character in Netflix. Daredevil's an interesting character in Netflix. You can do it. You have the villain confronting the hero or the anti-hero confronting the hero somehow. Um, somehow this is not too dissimilar from Punisher, except for that Bullseye's
Mhm.
killed a whole bunch more innocent people.
And he's like a
Anyway,
murderer, not just
well,
a
Frank the
you know.
murderer too. He's just all it's just mainly
He is a
murders.
murderer, but yeah, he murders evil people. And then
Um, Priest guy,
the
random priest
AVPN
guy.
shows up.
Well, priest guy
Oh, yeah.
says we'll always provide shelter to both of you. Why? I don't think Bullseye should be
Okay.
in the
Daredevil,
church.
yes. The guy who murdered beloved community and church member Father Lantom,
The priest of this same church.
maybe not.
But yeah, he says,
A guy you probably knew, even though, this guy didn't exist,
"Where are the other
but
nuns?
he probably knew Father Lantom.
Where are
So,
the nuns?"
I guess they're all on sabbatical in Rome. And so
And
are all of the priests and all of
only this
the
guy.
janitors. I don't know. There's no one there. It's
Except
only
this
this
guy.
guy.
Consistently. Anyway, what's his face? Pal, he's here. He's here. And at this point, we mix in a new episode of Netflix era they're gonna disrupt. I can't remember the exact one, but it's in season 3 of Karen and Matt hiding out in the church. And he's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And then and Pal's just like, "Hey, vigilantes, it's fine morning. We better help us in. Let us in." "'Cause I've been in prayers all night, officer. I don't
Hello,
believe I have."
hello, Father.
And then they walk into a red room. It's red. It's stained glass, so it's red. And remember,
Because
Daredevil, he's
Bullseye's
red.
there. Yeah,
since we got
bet,
orders from the
remember?
mayor's office. It's that hard. Just have to give a warrant. I know they don't need one, but he could have just got a warrant.
Yeah.
Just do a warrant. Like, have them do one thing by the books once, you know? Um, and then we get horrible Vladimir scene, which is a really good scene, where he's like, "Hey, just go. Don't be an idiot. Leave me." And then, and then this guy says, "Weapons are not permitted in the house of God." I thought you were providing shelter for Bullseye, though. So that's cool. Um, yeah. Also, there have been also then again the FBI and the police came into this exact church not that long, like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't
Maybe
know.
that was a new rule after Father Lantom got
And
murdered,
again,
I don't know.
if they have a warrant, yes, they are. Like, like I understand that
Yeah.
you don't want it, but if they have a warrant, but yeah, Cole North is like, guess what though? Rules have changed
"Hey,
because we work for Fisk, not
Mr.
God.
Fisk told me to come in
So
here
then
and get the
we get a terrible version of the same scene of like Brett and the FBI walking into the church. Just this time it's the task force. Like they gotta clean their camera lens or something. The lights all super overexposed on their on their camera lens. And then Dex is like, "Yo, man, I killed Foggy. I didn't think twice. That's who I am." Because he's trying to get Matt angry so that he'll
So he'll
leave him.
leave, because that's Dex's character. It's
But
something
it's
he
all
would
red, by the
do.
way. We're in red because stained glass. And he says, "Just let me die." And Matt knows, hey, they're coming. This Lee just it's just pissing me off because the entire episode was Vladimir because I like Vladimir. Vladimir's a very interesting character, and that whole episode, there's Vladimir's like fully expecting to die, and when Daredevil brings back to life, he's, you can't even sit there and let me die. And then Matt really did not want to abandon him in that tunnel, but he realized there was no way he was going to be able to stop Vladimir from staying back, and
Mhm.
he was pissed about it, but he had to leave. And
Yeah.
Vladimir had a gun; he could have just shot him. That's the other thing, like. Vladimir could have just gone, "You die now. I
Yeah.
wanna leave. I wanna leave, and you die now." So, and then Matt apologizes to God. He says, "Look, I can't say us both. I'm sorry. I tried," and, and then hustles out of there. Hustles out of the Daredevil room because it's red. Um, remember Matt does Catholic.
And then we flash back, and Matt
Well, first
confronts
off, Matt just
Foggy.
walks out of the church, no perimeter.
Yeah, no perimeter, he just leaves.
Bro, the base NYPD knows the perimeter. Captain America told him.
Mhm.
Whatever, bro. Sure. No perimeter, just gets out. And then he flashes back and he's like, "Yeah, you wanna take this flashback here?"
Yeah, he's basically like, he knows Foggy took the money. Foggy doesn't know how he knew, and he's like, "Well, you spend enough time in this tiny office with somebody, you start to know what they're thinking." Um, Foggy says he's sorry and he'll pay it back, and then Matt laughs at that, which I kind of liked because they're
It's
poor.
okay. There's a lot of elements in this that remind me too much of Mark Waid, Matt Murdock, but
Yeah.
he was more jovial in the past, but that's fine. That's
Then
fine.
he calls him Foggy the Fimbot, joking around. Um,
They start cutting back and forth again.
And then, well, he says, that money was supposed to be about the future. And Foggy says, it is Matt, referring to Lionel's future, but not, he says, it is Matt, but not just ours. And then it cuts back to Bullseye dying. And then it cuts to Matt.
So the
And Matt
equivalency here
says, in the past, so where to now? So
and the
basically, this is Matt, or this is Foggy through flashback telling Matt that he needs to save Bullseye.
so the equivalency here is Matt remembers Foggy gave all his money to a guy who called him a Fimbot, therefore he should go back and grab mass murderer Dex.
Who killed Foggy?
Again, I think Matt should go back and grab Dex because that's his character. I also don't think he would have abandoned him if he could clearly, easily get out of the church like he did.
Which he
Um,
will again in a minute after, like, burning
the
away
only time
time.
he ever abandoned anyone is because he had no option. And the only time I
Yeah,
think he ever even did it was Vladimir. And Vladimir was literally just like, you go or I shoot you. And
yeah.
then, yeah. And he was like, I can't outrun them, but you can. And you can beat up that fat shit. I miss characters. And then they're like, let's go to Josie's. Remember Josie's?
And then Daredevil goes back, saves Bullseye. He grabs his
The
hand
and now
and, like,
instead of the light
instantly
just
pulls him
being
up super
red,
easily.
instead of the light just being red, it's blue as well. And then the light merges right when their hands collect. Because remember, Bullseye blue and the light goes purple. Um, why is Bullseye taking his hand? Doesn't Bullseye wanna die?
No, because the flashback. Matt's gonna save him now.
Anyway, the police
Did you
say,
not
"We
read the
can."
script?
Also, thanks, Matt, you also just got Mr. Priest here killed. Um, so good on you for that. There's also only, like, 5 of them here, so you could easily I am glad that he just left. I was fully expecting him to just be like, "Now we team up," and then, like, fight alongside Bullseye as Bullseye executes all these people, and he's just like, "You're really good at that." "Ah!" And he keeps fighting because remember, Daredevil yells, and then Bullseye would have been like, bees, I'll kill all."
I'm
And then
angry
there
and
probably would
crazy.
have been some oh jovial song playing in the background and like a fainted tone because that's what they've done in every that's what they've done in every fight scene in this show, by the way. There's some weird music that it doesn't actually fit, but that's what makes it fit. Um
Yeah, that's what
every
makes it fun.
every fight scene has had that. Um yeah. So
And
then
then we cut to,
they were the
Buck
fakest woods I've ever
and
seen.
what? Oh, yeah, Fakest Woods.
I'm assuming these are real woods, but they clearly set up fog machines. Why do they love fog?
Middle of a sunny day, by the way. Still foggy. Oh, foggy. That's
Daniel
why.
Blake, he's like, "Yo, Buck, don't kill me." I'm
Dude,
glad that
Buck
he also is
the
just like,
first shot inside the car in the sequence, sorry, is Buck looking at Daniel with the most "I'm sorry I have to murder you" face I've ever seen.
that's
He's
not
just
even
like,
what that's not even my interpretation of it. My interpretation of it, they accidentally here, I'm gonna pull up the exact image and I'll explain my interpretation. So I'm pretty sure what happened here because I'll talk. Let me look. I just got a text from my source. So what actually happened here? They started filming too soon, and Buck's actor, he just finished reading the script, and this was the face he made when he looked at Daniel, and he was like, "Why are you still here?" The guy's like, "How disgusted he looks." It's just like you are the most worthless character I've ever seen.
dude, and then Daniel says, "I don't know what I did, but it was probably stupid and I probably deserve it."
I actually don't mind this. I think this whole scene's useless. I think both these characters suck. But like, I'm just glad that he wasn't like, I didn't mean to leak. I didn't glad he didn't immediately expose himself. He was at least like, I didn't do it, and I'm an idiot, so it was probably
Yeah,
deserved. It's
and
like,
he's
well,
basically like, "Listen, you don't have to kill me. I will just disappear. You'll never see me again. I'll be like a ghost."
not a peep, not a tweet. It's like, yeah, I'd hope you wouldn't tweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then
And then
we get cuts back and forth to to uh
young Buck, and you
to
know
Buck.
you know it's young Buck because he has long hair, so
Yeah,
he's
because
young because he
and
has
he's
long
got
hair.
he's got his Bucky Barnes cosplay on. And Buck and then it cuts back to the car and Buck looks even more disgusted with him.
And
He's
he
gone
says,
from
"Get
he
out
went
of the
from this
car, Daniel," and then looks even
he
more
went for he went from
disgusted.
this to this.
And then he tells Daniel to get out, and it gets even worse.
So, because of the scene they're cutting back and forth with, my guess here is that he does know, but he likes Daniel, so he's not gonna kill him. And this is his so Kingpin's already said this is your last chance, and this is Buck saying, "This is your last chance for me. This is your pivotal moment because you've screwed everything up, and now also I've got dirt on you now. You helped me bury this body, so Um, anyway, yeah, I don't know, but it's also like at the same time because this scene cuts back with when the time Buck wasn't able to kill someone. Um, this again doesn't really make sense for them to be cutting back and forth between this scene. And they're like, "Hey, man, your loyalty is important." And Derek's like, "I love Mr. Fisk. I'm loyal. I'll do anything." And then Buck's like, "Make a choice, saw or shovel." And now all the like, "I'm gonna murder the crap out of you" voice and face go away. He's like, "Saw or shovel, Daniel? I'll put on some work tunes and we'll get to chopping up the body."
And the body is, um sorry, I'm trying to pull.
It's the first mate. They
Yeah,
have
it's the
character names.
first
I
mate
don't
that
remember
he
what they are.
murdered. It's
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know where the captain went after they murdered him. I guess Buck did that one by
He's
himself.
in Red Hook,
But
so it's all good.
no, he's yeah, but he's dead. But
Yeah, yeah, but they murdered him in Red Hook, so it's all good. Anyway, Buck remembers how he wasn't able to kill this guy. This guy, he's running though, the lion, he's running away. And then Matt comes up with a brilliant idea. Maybe it's instead of Murdoch and Nelson, it's Nelson and Murdoch. Shut up! It
and he's
already
like,
happened.
"You're going up in the world, Foggy. I think the next 50 rounds are on you."
It's already happened. Matt already said Nelson and Murdoch. It sounds better. You just had to watch the show. You just had to watch it. You know, just check it out. Give it a look see.
Watch the clips on YouTube Shorts, dude. Like
You know what's funny?
even
Initially,
those clips have like all of this content that we're speaking about.
it's funny because initially
That
I
like
was like,
12-year-olds.
no, maybe they just watch clips. You can't just watch the avocados that law clip and not hear that line. He
It's
says it
literally
like 2
impossible.
seconds before that line.
Because I texted you that and I was like, the writers of this are seriously like TikTok fans. And I was like, well, actually, no, because it's the same scene. They can't.
It's literally he says Murdoch and Nelson avocados at law, and he says Nelson and Murdoch. It sounds better. He already said this.
And then we cut back to Daredevil and he's carrying Bullseye into Karen's secret hideout.
Karen,
And
she's
was
doing training.
she was hitting the boxing, the heavy bag.
Karen
And then
sucks.
he sets
Karen
Bullseye
sucks.
down
They ruined Karen.
and he's like, "Little help?"
And Karen's like annoyed. She sighs in annoyance, is what the captions say.
Yeah, she's all angry. And then we cut back to Vanessa in the hospital and she wakes up and she says this shit's so
Vincent D'Onofrio gives up here. He's crying and he can't, I guess,
like,
do a fist voice and cry because
Vanessa, it's so
but
good to see you.
he's just doing his like he's talking how Vincent D'Onofrio talks. He's not talking how Kingpin talks. Because his voice sounds like very fun. It's not how you would expect him to sound, especially if you only first saw him as Kingpin before you've heard him talk anywhere else. It just doesn't sound like Fisk.
Can I do something for you? Are you thirsty? Like,
Yeah, and he gets him
water, or are
juice.
you hungry? She asked for pineapple juice, and he's like, "You don't like pineapple juice. It makes your lips feel weird." She's like, "Well, I don't."
And then this nurse is like, "Hey, I gotta tell a doctor." He's like, "No, get pineapple juice."
She's awake. We have to help her medically. And he's like, "No,
I will
pineapple
kill
juice.
you.
I'll murder you right now, nurse. I'll kill you."
Juice. Get pineapple juice.
And then Vanessa's like, "Oh, Wilson, you scared that girl. She was on the verge of tears. You practically made her cry." So I'm just overwhelmed.
And he's like, "No, I didn't mean to scare her. I just wanted you to get pineapple juice. I'm
And then
overwhelmed,
she's
my
like,
love."
"I've never seen you like this." And she looks like she's almost scared of him. And he's like, "I'm just glad you're here with me again. That's all, Vanessa, my dear
I've
love."
never seen you like this. I've never seen you like this. I'm watching me as I
Literally
blow
has.
up 17 buildings and tell you explicitly that was me.
She like doesn't understand why
Got
he's
brain
acting
damage.
weird, basically, because she has brain damage.
She drinks her pineapple juice and she's like, "Man, that was good pineapple juice." And Fisk is like, "That's cool."
That's
And
good,
then she
honey.
says, "Wilson, tell me a story." And she says, "The story of how we met." And then we flash back to the Wesley car and Fisk, he's watching in the art gallery. Bro, just don't do that. Like, you can literally just show the scene. Like, they show the scene at the end of the episode. You just showed the scene. You gotta make your own. Because
This
now
makes him like a weird stalker instead of like meeting
it was
her
a
organically.
spontaneous thing. Yeah, he was there to get art for his penthouse. and then he saw a
And
painting
then
that
he met
reminded him when
her.
he was a child, and then when I was a boy. That's where that meme
When
comes
I
from.
was a boy.
Yes, then he met
Yeah.
Vanessa, and he buys the painting because it makes him feel alone. And he remembered, Vanessa, she was only showing the painting, so he goes back and he wants to take her on a date, and she's like, "Nah, I don't date clients." And then he's like, "Okay." And then she's like,
Yeah.
"Blah blah blah," and then that whole thing. Um,
Um,
and it's organic, and then blah blah
and
whatever.
it cuts back, and he says, "It was luck that I met you." And she's like, "No, it wasn't luck. It was destiny." And she says, "Though you did vastly overpay." And Wilson laughs and doesn't
Yeah, we
sound
already
like
talked about
him.
that.
He says, "Did I?" And she said, "3 times the listing price," which is not what she said earlier, which
We
was
already talked
100
about
times.
that. And then
But yeah, we
yeah,
already
just
talked about
she
that.
keeps saying, "Can't tell me a story," and then she has a seizure and freaking dies.
Woo!
and then and then they start cutting back and forth. They cut to her standing there. She's dressed in all white, and it's a white background, and she's staring at Rabbit in a snowstorm. And remember, that's all white. And then she gets coated in non-diegetic white lighting, and so is Fisk. It's a spotlight on her because Vanessa's white, I guess. And Bullseye's blue, Daredevil's red, and Vanessa's white. And then we cut to fake Vanessa looking at Fisk, and then back to the old Vanessa, and then Wilson, he's panicking, and he's like, "Oh no, she's doing the big dying," and Fisk, he's getting mad, and he's yelling, and Fisk starts crying because I was really hoping to see Kingpin cry again. And then we can immediately tell it got to real Netflix because it looks better. The color correction looks normal. We get the cufflings. Remember the cufflings?
I
There's
have a
no way these
feeling
writers remember what they said
in the
goodbye.
next episode, after Vanessa's dead, he's gonna put his dad's cufflinks back on and be super evil and unhinged.
Yeah, and then Vanessa, she walked. It's just the scene from Netflix, and it's just so much better. And
Yeah.
then it cuts to him going, what a
Oh,
pathetic scene, dude.
Vanessa!
What a pathetic scene. Then
Vanessa!
waves lapping softly as the episode ends. So in case we didn't or think Kingpin lame enough, here's him crying more.
Oh, Vanessa!
I thought you didn't have trauma anymore.
Yeah, Echo took it all away. Well, now he's not like, as callous to it because she took it all away. So now new trauma is more worse. I don't.
Just started liking pineapples.
Oh, we could finally eat pineapple together. It was my dream for us all along.
I can't believe she killed Adam.
I c-
I can't believe she had sex with Adam. His hands were so much softer than mine.
she was always attracted to soft artist hands and not my power. Oh,
Yeah, remember that
I'm
was the whole thing.
Kingpin.
She could be with any guy. Guy could afford to buy out a whole gallery just to see her. Money wasn't what interested her. It was the fact that Fisk was able to control everything. Anyway, Vanessa's dead. This would be meaningful if Netflix did
In a real
this.
show.
Same as like anything with Karen. It's not your payoff. You didn't do any setup to make me care about this character. That was all the other. That was all the. I can't believe the old team made the new team do this.
Yeah, this is all the old team's fault, not the new team who made this.
I
It's the
can't
old
believe.
team's
I
fault.
cannot believe the old team has done this.
Yes, this is the old team.
I can't believe old team made the new team write a whole second season that was worse than the first season.
I can't believe.
It's funny.
Well, think
I would
about
have.
it. It's because the old team, all the setup, they're still working through that setup that the old team made. Like what, 13, 15, 17, a billion episodes deep? I don't even know.
Also, just they didn't even have this Vanessa in the old team episodes.
No.
Oh, what do we do next week? I guess next week we can look and see if it made the Nielsen charts.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. All the Cuckpin stuff was new team.
It didn't. We'll see if it made the Nielsen charts, but I doubt it
Probably not.
did. It didn't make Samba TV ratings for that week.
Oh wow, good for them.
It was viewed like it's like a top 100 rankings of the show, of shows from last year. Agatha all along was like 50 spots ahead of Daredevil.
Which is
So there's no way
embarrassing.
it's gone up. Yeah, this episode was super boring. There was nothing. Nothing happened. We got through it faster than any of the other episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know what where do we even go from here? There's what? There's 6, 7, and 8. There's 3 episodes. We have Heather, she's gone. Cherry,
I feel like we
Cherry's
have
gone.
we're 2/3 of the way through, and I feel like all we've done is setup.
Cherry's gone. Um, who else is gone? Everyone. Like, there's nothing. This was a waste. This is essentially a filler episode, except for
And
getting
we didn't
Vanessa
hear we
killed.
didn't hear a single whisper about what's going on with Cherry.
The
What's
only
going on
im-
with Cherry? Is he safe? Is he all right?
the only important thing that happened was Vanessa dying.
Yeah, which
Other than that, it's
happened last
exact. This
episode.
is literally the same episode as last episode. Last episode ended with Matt and Bullseye getting away after Vanessa was killed. This episode ends with Matt and Bullseye getting away and Vanessa dies.
Yeah,
Only thing
it's
that
like
didn't happen was Daniel Blake didn't get killed.
which
And
he
BB
also
Urich made it
didn't get killed last
extremely
episode.
obvious that she was working it. Again, that was already clear last episode. It's like this is just a pointless derivative. This episode's useless.
Dude, and the worst part is it's like Daniel he's known the entire time that she's leaking stuff. And he's like,
Oh, we didn't even
BB,
get a single
stop
BB
leaking
report.
stuff. And then he's like, BB, here's this information that no one else has. And then she leaks it. He's like, what? No way, BB, you gotta stop, man.
So I'm pretty sure I think Foggy's actually dead. I kind of
Yeah.
assumed, like, I kind of felt like they were talking about it like that in the red carpet. I always kind of assumed that they were going to be desperate and bring it back. They still probably are. I'm gonna be honest. They're still probably gonna bring it back in season 3. I think they're pretty freaking desperate.
He
They're
was
so
hanging
desperate.
out with Danny Rand, Luke
They're
Cage, and
bringing
Jessica
back
Jones.
Finn Jones. I would think they're gonna be like, let's get Foggy back in.
Of Danny Rand.
Yeah, I don't.
I hope, I pray that when Iron Fist steps on screen, he introduces himself to
They
everybody.
probably can't even get that right. They'll probably
Danny
everything
Rand.
else will suck, and they'll probably write the most quality Iron Fist dialogue that's ever happened.
That's probably what'll happen, and that'll honestly
try
piss
to
me off.
replicate the Iron Fist in Defenders, which in the show that sucks, and they're accidentally gonna make something good out of it.
If he doesn't introduce himself 5 times an episode, I'll be like, "This isn't my Iron Fist." Boycott
They
Born
accidentally
Again
give
season
Luke
3
Cage a real character.
instead of just being bulletproof. I'm bulletproof and I'm from Harlem. Luke Cage, what are your values and everything? I'm bulletproof and I'm from Harlem. What do
And
you
I
do?
like having
I'm
sex with
bulletproof.
Jessica
I'm from Harlem,
Jones.
and I
That's
like
my
having sex
character.
with a lot of different ladies.
Especially, well, not a lot, only 3.
Couple different ladies, and I'm big and tough and strong, and I
And
look
I'm
cool.
from Harlem, and
Do you have a cool super suit? No, I got a lot of hoodies that get
No, I
bullet
do, but it's
holes in
yellow,
'em.
and yellow's lame.
So I just wear a hoodie with a shirt underneath, and it gets all shot up.
I
And then you can tell
tried my super suit. It's cringe.
I make
Only
sure to just
nerds
wear
would
a
like
hoodie
that.
that gets bullet holes in it just to show how bulletproof I am, as
Only,
opposed to my clothes.
only a nerd would like that corny that corny suit.
Super suit? How about a hoodie and sweatpants?
What are they gonna do? Dress me up in yellow spandex? Let's call the next show Cage, because we all agree that Luke is stupid. We'll call the next show Fist, because the iron part was dumb.
Well, no, it'll be fists.
Dude, you know, it'd be kind of
Fist.
fire. Imagine Danny Rand shows up, and then he just teleport. He just morphs into Rocky and just like fist my bump, bro.
Absolute Rocky.
Absolutely, that would. Oh my gosh, Dave Filoni cooked up with this one.
Dave Filoni cooked. Where's Ahsoka? Do you think Luke Cage could withstand a shot
Yeah,
from
you watched
Ahsoka's white lightsabers?
if you watch Maul, and you watch any of that,
No.
you gonna watch
I
Maul?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to.
I have been informed it's peak and absolute Filoni, and we are so back. And
I heard my roommates talking about it, and I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good."
we and Jake, we watched the first episode of Andor.
It was good.
It was all right. We were both immediately. I was personally immediately reminded why I didn't continue watching it the last time I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
But
But it was like kind of cool.
There was substance in most scenes.
They were like characters, and they were doing stuff because of their character motivations.
There was substance in most scenes.
It's kind of interesting. Different characters actually had different personalities and didn't just do stuff because it was in the script. Um,
Personally, I think it kind of
so that was
sucks
cool.
because I didn't see a lightsaber though.
Yeah, I didn't see any lightsabers though.
Maybe an epic chase scene through
I
forest.
didn't hear I didn't hear Darth Vader breathing, so I just turned it
There was
off.
no epic chase scene through the forest. There were no
True.
laser gates that were impossible to get around. There were no random. You remember that guy who dies in Kenobi, and they're like, "Oh no, not Johnny!" And then the music, and everyone's
Not
like,
Tim!
and then
Oh,
the
no!
music, and the way it's shot, everyone's like, "Not Johnny." There's like more
No!
emotion in everything. It's like the same amount of emotion that Luke has when after watching Ben get sliced by Darth Vader. It's like, that was Johnny. It's like,
That
what?
was that
Who?
was Uncle Timmy.
And
Alright,
it's like,
I
who?
actually I gotta go.
Alright. Anyway, well, we're now over the halfway point of weeks we gotta watch
Woo!
Daredevil. Um, Dude, I don't know that the Punisher thing's gonna be any good, but I just hope it's gonna be good. I don't there's no reason to hope, but maybe.
Don't give me
Um,
hope.
yeah, that's it. We're done. We got more episodes. I'm running out of thumbnail and title ideas. I can only say this show sucks in so many different ways. The memes, I keep thinking of memes right before, so I'm sure one will come to me before next after
Mm,
watching next week's episode. But yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for watching. Check out our links in personal down below. I know I said I was gonna. I'd figured out my video style because I was gonna do episode 2, 3, and 4, but then this episode they really did a whole bunch of parallels back to the first Netflix season. They suck, so I kind of want to just do this episode. We'll see. I'm gonna figure out a video. I know for a fact there will at least be a video at the end of the season recapping. Jake's gonna have a video at some point, he claims.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's it. If you want to keep checking out the streams, we'll keep doing these. It should be longer again next week. Hopefully, I don't know what your schedule is. We should be able to
It
go a
should
little
be, yeah.
more. We were brushing through a lot. We could have gone on more side tangents than we wanted. But anyway, thank you for watching. You can check it out Spotify, links down below, whatever, anything, blah blah blah. And yeah, see you later. Goodbye.
See you next time.